What's going on, guys? It's your boy Justin back with another video, and today we are going to be talking about trading for once. Um, the past few videos have always been about the working field and whatnot because that's been a change that has come to my life right now. But we want to cycle back a little bit and talk more about trading. And in this video, you can already tell from the title, I'm going to be talking about what I learned in my past 3 to 4 years of trading. So, all my mistakes I've done, all the, success slash semi-success that I had, so that you can copy that and whatever. Basically, my top mistakes and biggest learnings so that you can just easily copy them. In general, I would appreciate if you follow the channel or, give this video a thumbs up or whatever. Yeah, just helps, the channel to grow. And if there's anything that, you want me to talk about, just feel free to put it in the comments down below. One more thing before we start. There's no script for this. I just want to speak from the heart because I think that's the most, authentic way of doing this. I know that, if I had like a bunch of motion graphics and whatnot, it would be better, but I don't give a fuck, right? Chances are pretty high that you are a trader yourself, and I don't know if you started out, with a community or whatever, or without one, with a friend or without one. If you just came across the whole topic and whatnot, this here basically is my story so that you can kind of follow along. Let me just start off by saying that 2021 was the year when I started trading. Relatively by the end of the year, I was going through a breakup and I was not doing pretty good, to be honest. And a friend of mine told me that I should try this, trading thing more because of a distraction, basically. He thought like, oh, you're not too dumb, maybe you can figure it out or whatever. Because I was always interested in making money online, you know what I mean? And it basically pretty much helped me to hyperfixate on something so I don't hyperfixate on my breakup. It's not even like a joke. And what can I say? At the beginning, just as everybody, I thought it was like a big ass scam that my friend has completely lost his mind. I thought about all these Telegram groups of people like, oh my god, join this community now and whatever. But I had no other opportunity. I just gave it a chance, because I was desperate as fuck by that time because I was heartbroken like a motherfucker. I'm telling you guys. But then, I did my research and I kind of found out that, trading in general is legit, right? It's just, the global trading market space or whatever. You could, participate. The real question is just what percentage of online communities and gurus or whatever are actually believable and whatnot. Because the profession in itself, of course, of course, you can trade. Like saying trading is a scam doesn't make any fucking sense, right? Because trading in general is a thing, right? That's the whole economy basically. If you go ahead and buy, I don't fucking know, a pizza for $10 or whatever, you trade your $10 against the pizza, right? So that in itself is a trade. So if we just trade on the global markets and we trade the differences between Euro, USD, or whatever, that's basically the same thing, at least the concept, right? So that's legit. The question is just, can you actually get profitable and whatnot, and where do you get your resources from? And that's kind of like the mistake number one. I was always looking for so much information because it made sense, right? I didn't really know who to trust. I didn't know what to learn. I didn't know anything about risk management, psychology, or a strategy in itself, right? I didn't even know what to look for. So just as, most people, I just looked up trading, how to start trading 2021 and whatnot. And a bunch of videos came up, I didn't know if, these people were scammers or not. My gut feeling always kind of tells me like, it's kind of fishy. But, you got to make your own experiences and whatnot. I, was always smart enough to not buy any courses or whatnot. I'm not saying that courses in itself are bad, by the way. Let me just start off by saying this, because if, for example, you actually find your way to profitability after months and years and whatever, of not, finding that, and even, or like, especially if you did it on yourself, to me, it made sense, like, or it makes sense, or of course, like, let's just say I've done trading, for example, 5 or 6 years, then I get profitable, and now I hold the keys for profitability for at least what helped for me, my strategy and everything, and that potentially could make millions of dollars and whatnot per year or per whatever. Why would you give it away for free, right? I understand that concept, right? Yeah, but if you could trade, there would be no need of a course. Yeah, I get it, but then again, it's a business. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to trade, if you want to make money online, chances are pretty high that you are generally interested in, how can you say, generational wealth, right? And in order for you to get generational wealth, you cannot only just rely on one thing. That's what I think, right? So if you already learned how to trade, that's perfect, right? Now you can, just get more money and more money and more money. But if you're pretty good at it and people want to know what you know and they want to take the shortcut by using you and your information, why not put a price tag on that? If your information is valuable, why wouldn't you put a price tag on that? So I always found it okay, but I always at the same time thought I'm not gonna pay for that because that's just not who I was. But by the way, I was fucking broke. I only like ended school around 2021, like not school, but whatever. I don't know what the American or English way of like, I'm from Germany. I have no idea what the school system, like I know the school system in America, but I don't know what the equivalent would be in Germany, whatever. So I just finished that. I had no money whatsoever, so I most definitely wasn't buying any courses. So I just looked up every and I bro, guys, I've watched every YouTuber out there, every single one of them. If you right now are an influencer that was around 2021 or so, chances are pretty high that I know you. Like, I don't want to drop names right now. Maybe one, which I will drop in just a second, because he actually helped me big time, period. And, credit where credit is due. But oh my fucking god, the trading space is so full of shit. There's so many people who just pretend that they can trade. You know what I mean? Which, they are just, basically businessmen and they just want to, earn money by, selling courses. And that's fine if they pretend to be that and people fall for it, right? It's unfortunate, but it's not their responsibility to make sure that they don't make a dumb decision when it comes to buying stuff, right? I'm sorry, but the world is unfair, so you gotta be smart, right? But holy fucking shit, there was so many people who were just like fucking trash bags, like straight fucking up. Once again, I'm not gonna name drop them. Maybe in a future video, or whatever. At this point right now, I just want to highlight one guy that at least helped me, because if you go to my channel, you can see that I already made it to payouts and whatnot, and that I passed challenges and whatnot. And after every single strategy that you can find, set and forget, what else is there? Head and shoulders, like all these patterns and this and that and blah blah. ICT, silver bullet, and this and that. Hey, I'm not saying that you can trade with that shit. All I'm saying is if you can find profitability, that's perfectly fine. But I'm just saying if the guru who taught these things can't even find profitability for himself, something is off. I'm just thinking about 3 letters right now, and I think you know who I'm talking about right now. But that's besides the point. If you want to know who's a fraud, all I'm saying is check out Iman Trading. Big shout outs to him because he's keeping it real. Who's also keeping it real, at least for me, where I found profitability for a short amount of time, was Doyle Exchange. Doyle, if by any chance you see this video, you're the gold man, like straight up. I watched so many fucking videos, like so many. And once again, every candlestick pattern, every this, every that. Wyckoff scheme, and then turtle soup, and silver bullet, ICT, my CT, la 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 la. It's all fucking trash. Even the Fibonacci strategy, I couldn't find any profitability in Fibonacci trading. But then supply and demand, holy fucking shit. Supply and demand, it makes sense, guys. It makes fucking sense, right? Supply and demand is basically also what drives the economy in itself. We just talked about, the whole example of like $10 against one pizza, for example, right? That's supply and demand. How much is one pizza worth? Blah blah. Are you willing to pay the price? Nice. There's an exchange, right? So that's just perfectly fine. And the question was just where could you find supply and demand within the markets, right? And Doyle, once again, big shout outs, because why wouldn't I shout out him, right? He showed good ways and proof that he made money with that. And I can only say, like, the supply and demand is the absolute killer. I've made videos on it too. I put my own tweaks a little bit onto that just because it fits my personal style a little bit better. But in itself, like, I think the trading style of me and Doyle is basically 90% the same, and just 10% of like a personal note, right? But I'm telling you guys, so I already talked about whole trading for like 9 minutes right now. If I can get you like one tip, you look into supply and demand, and look into, and there's also going to be videos about this whole topic on my channel, so make sure to subscribe. But look into what drives supply, what drives demand, and how you can leverage on that. Once again, it is everywhere in our economy, whatever, in every economy, whatever, you know what I mean, like trading markets, whatever. Just look into that, learn and understand what supply is, what demand is, and then learn how you can spot it. There is a video on my channel about supply and demand, and there will be like I'm just gonna upload a bunch of videos to all these supply and demand shit. I could also find a little bit of profitability whenever I use like breakout strategies in combination with like a line chart and whatnot. So I'm always going to be making videos about these two things, but supply and demand is like the bread and butter. Line chart theory with breakouts is also pretty nice, but once again, supply and demand. So this would be my tip. Cut the bullshit. If any of you guys found profitability with, for example, ICT or whatever, that's perfectly fine, right? I just don't see it. And as somebody who knows how to trade ICT, basically, I saw the concept, I learned the concept, I studied it for a long time, I used it and everything. It's just so much complicated, unnecessary stuff for me personally. But supply and demand is just, spotting, specific situations in the market and just leveraging off of them. You just basically look for like gaps and shit. Like, once again, look into my video. It's on the channel. I think it's the second or third video. So just look it up. Yeah, so much stuff for that. So cut the bullshit. Don't learn too much shit. And that's like another thing. Don't learn, like, don't always think, oh, I gotta learn some more. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. I gotta learn one more strategy. Oh, fuck, stick with something, right? Even if I say ICT is bullshit, for example, go ahead for yourself, learn it. Maybe you're good, but be careful. Maybe you lose a bunch of money, maybe more than you would have to, right? Stick with something, back test it to the bone, you know what I mean? And then, go ahead and look how your statistics are. Yo, what the fuck? Don't stick around too long with something that is not good for you, but don't jump away too fast, because maybe you don't even have the data. I can't really speak about collecting data too much because I'm just gonna say how it is. I wouldn't say that I was lazy in my trading journey because, once again, 3 to 4 years or whatnot, that's a long fucking time. I studied everything, but I'm just too lazy to do all these kind of like, oh my god, like trading, what is it called, like where you do like all these Excel sheets and my entry was here. But no, I never did this. I'm just going to say how it is. What I did was I took screenshots of the trades that I've taken and put them like somewhere where I could look them up. So that was kind of my trading journal, but it was the absolute bare minimum because I'm somebody who, like, if I take a screenshot of a trade that I took and I put it, for example, like on a Discord server where it's just me, and I, like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months later, I just look back onto this. I remember exactly why I took it because, once again, by now I just use supply and demand for like 85% of the time, and the rest is just line chart and everything. So it's always the same, right? Another tip I guess I would give is like try to cut the dopamine rush in a sense, because it's kind of linked to this whole idea that you can make so much money so fast that oh my god, I gotta do more, I gotta do more, I gotta do more. Oh, this trade was so much fun. Yeah, but if trading is fun to you, that's cool, but at the same time it's a little bit dangerous, because at best trading should be fucking boring to you. Because if you get too much excitement out of trading, that means that there's some kind of dopamine linked to that, and that means that your emotions will fluctuate with trading in itself. Doesn't mean it doesn't even matter if, oh, I hit my take profit, oh, now I'm happy, oh fuck, I hit stop loss, now I'm mad, oh, break even, whatever. At best, trading is just boring to you, because if you executed your system that many times that you know exactly what the fuck is going to happen, you either hit take profit or stop loss, but you know that relatively sure 70 to 80% win rate or whatever, you don't get that excitement anymore, and that's a good sign, right? When I was at my most profitable state, which I am not at right now because I took a long break, but when I was there, trading was boring, and I was happy about that fact. I wasn't like, oh my god, let's go back to the trading market. No. For me, it was like, okay, let me just see. Do I see a zone? Yes, I see a zone. Okay, that's good. Let me mark it up. Oh, like, I'm just sitting here like, okay, is the price coming back to, okay, here it is. Okay, do I have confirmation? I have. Okay, press. I'm not saying that I wasn't happy whenever I hit take profit, right? But like, guys, it's a difference than when I started 2, 3, 4 years ago. Like, it was insane. Like, we all know that. Like, I was doing like the whole forbidden strategies where I put some random emojis underneath the candle and I was like, fly up and everything. Nah, guys, please. Like, you gotta treat trading like a business. You know what I mean? Like, get cold with it. Just learn a system, know your system, trust yourself, execute the trade. If you hit take profit, be proud of be proud of yourself afterwards. If you hit stop loss, but you still followed your rules, you still gotta be proud about yourself, because at the end of the day, it was still a good trade because it followed your system. The system that should be back tested, and that you should have data, at least mentally, or actual data, that tells you, I am profitable, this system can work, I just got to stick through with it. If you, for example, out of 10 trades, if 7 trades, for example, usually hit take profit, and you're just unlucky enough that the first 3 trades of a month, are stop loss, for example, you could, fall into this trap of thinking, oh, fuck, I'm no longer profitable and whatnot. No, it's perfectly fine. It's still part of your statistics, 7 out of 10 trades hit. So the first 3, were losses. Chances are pretty high that the next ones are going to win. And if after a while you kind of notice, okay, fuck, this no longer works, at this point you gotta ask yourself the question, did my strategy stop working, or did I just stop using my strategy, if that makes sense? You know what I mean? Did I get FOMO, fear of missing out, and therefore I didn't took trades because I was afraid that they wouldn't hit? Did I take trades that I shouldn't take? You know what I mean? That's like another tip. Be selective with your trades, right? I once heard this comparison that you should be like a hunter that is very, very limited with his ammunition, right? If you're down like somewhere in the forest, right, and you only get your rifle, and you only have 1 bullet for the day, or maybe 2, I would suggest just 1, but that's it. If you just have 1 bullet and you try to get a deer, for example, and you aim and you aim, and you want to be patient, you want to wait for confirmation, right? You wouldn't shoot at the deer, as he's moving and running around and everything. It doesn't make any fucking sense. If you are an experienced hunter and everything, down in the woods, you only have your rifle and 1 shot, you would wait, you would be patient, because if you get the deer, there will be, so some dinner later. If not, then you're gonna starve. So you just want to be very calm, collected, wait until the deer is no longer moving, aka until you see your confirmation on the market. And if everything is aligning, right, then you shoot. Sometimes you miss, but you still waited for the best opportunity. If the deer is running around and everything, and then somewhere like in between the line you're trying to shoot it, no, you're gonna miss it. But if he stands still and then you shoot, chances are way higher that you hit. So be selective, right? And if sometimes like another tip would be like, not every trading day is a trading day. I know that this is something that people spoke about so many times right now, but it is true, guys. If you just started out right now, please let this be a thing from the get-go. Yes, every day is a trading day, but not every trading day should be a trading day. Like, don't force shit. Once again, be selective. Be like the hunter that I just talked about. Even if you're vegan, I'm sorry, the metaphor still stands, okay? Even if you're a vegan and you're a trader, at this point, think about the deer. You still want to eat dinner, at least mentally. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, so that would be a few of my tips. Once again, there will be like, a bunch of videos. Sometimes I will say the same shit because, the more often I do these videos, the more structure will come. And by the fucking way, none of this is like financial advice or whatever. This is just me speaking from my experience, entertainment, yada, yada, yada. You already know. Definitely no financial advice. But yeah, so much so for that. Once again, I would suggest to you that you use supply and demand. That's my suggestion because it worked for me. Doesn't mean that it should work for you. If you don't know what supply and demand is, look it up on my channel. Once again, 2nd or 3rd video. So, yeah, stick with it, test it, see if it works for you. Just know that supply and demand generally works because it is what drives the entire economy on this entire fucking planet all the fucking time, right? Why is it that, for example, if PlayStations back in 2021 with these chips, these electronic chips, when they were like pretty fucking rare, right? When they got rare, the price just, rose, right? But once things got normal again and, people could manufacture these chips again, the price kind of, got chill again. And so PlayStations and all these kind of stuff, it no longer was crazy expensive, right? Supply and demand right in front of your eyes. So, use that. Look into that. Look up on my channel. I will make like an entire tutorial. I hope I can make a tutorial that is just 5 to 10 minutes long, and then this could be like the biggest video on the channel or whatever, because genuinely that's all that it took for me. All that it took for me, just learn supply and demand, maybe line charts, but that's, put it to the side for now. Learn supply and demand. Think about yourself like a hunter that only has 1 bullet or so. Wait for the deer to show actual confirmation. Don't gas at yourself. If you would be a hunter in the wild and you would be aiming right now, you wouldn't gas at yourself. Oh no, he's standing. That's my confirmation. No, you would wait and actually observe him. Is he standing right now? Is he not standing? Can I shoot or can't I? Right? So supply and demand, be selective. trading shouldn't be too much fun, right? It shouldn't give you like a dopamine kick as if you're like, oh my fucking god, let me like, you know what I mean? Go crazy. Be proud of yourself if you executed your system, right? If you executed your system and you get profits, that's nice. If you executed your system and you got a stop loss, still be proud because you followed your rules, right? Because sooner or later, if your system has been back tested and backed up by data and everything should be fine. And if it's not, after like 10, 20, 30 days or whatever, of actually trying to trade every day and you still see that you're not seeing any progress, maybe it's time to step back for a second and observe once again and make adjustments. That would be my tips for now. I would appreciate a follow, a subscription, maybe something that you want me to talk about. That was pretty fucking unstructured. 20 minutes is a very fucking long time, but yeah, I don't know, man. Like, once again, the more often I do these videos, the more structure will come. I would appreciate your support. If not, I still wish you all the best luck, and don't get fooled by these scammers that can't even trade by themselves, right? I never pretend right now that I'm the most profitable guy or whatever, but what I can say is that I got funded a few times and I got a few payouts. So personally, for me, I think the last step is just, to get the profitability, back and then build upon this. Yeah, but once again, don't fall for the people that, just edit their stuff and everything. That's what I'm saying. Iman trading would be like a big suggestion to look into if you want to learn who's a fraud and whatnot. Yeah, so much so for that. I would appreciate your support. Go chase your dreams, make them a reality. Bada bing, bada boom, I'm out.